Welkom by die groot ontbyt. As jy nou eers ingeskakel het, man, het jy op 'n goeie tyd ingeskakel. Ons gesels met Brian Emmenis. Hy is 'n, kom sê nou maar eerlik, 'n legende. As jy by enige lugskou was, is Brian se stem die een wat vir jou presies vertel het wat daar gebeur. So, by al die lugskoue in Suid-Afrika omtrent is Brian daar en hy gesels môre hier by ons met die groot ontbyt. En ons leer hom 'n bietjie beter ken. Ons gesels oor lugvaartdag en ons hoor ook 'n bietjie by hom waar sy liefde vir vlieg en dies meer van mekaar kom. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, Pierre. What an honor to be on your program.
No. The honor's all ours. Brian, for years and years, I've been listening to your voice at air shows. It's wonderful having you with us and chatting with us. And first, tell us about the first question. Let's talk about International Aviation Day. Let's do the basic stuff. What is it about? What is it in South Africa?
Well, today we're celebrating World Aviation Day, which is truly a very, very important day insofar as that it is a day to promote aviation, to make aviation awareness throughout the world. In other words, various organizations undertake various promotions, various activities to promote the aviation as a career. So back in South Africa, sorry, I'm in Switzerland, so that's why I keep referring now to back in South Africa. Over the weekend, South Africa celebrated World Aviation Day, which is actually today, but they decided to have it over the weekend. And it was an incredible day. On Friday, they had over 500 learners that were introduced into the world of aviation. In other words, from being a pilot to an engineer to somebody loading cargo, just to the various aspects of aviation. And then on Saturday, it was the traditional show. Now, the photos coming up there are photographs that are taken usually by the crowd at various air shows. And the photos depict what an air show and what aviation is all about. The fun, the experience. Here we see aerobatic pilots. Look how close they fly. So it's just to create awareness so that when career choices are made, one picks the correct career.
When it comes down to making career choices, Brian, your career has been a star-studded one, followed by all of us. Tell us, where did your love for aviation come from? How on earth do you know everything that you know, which is basically everything?
Gosh, I need an agent. You're the man. So I started way back at school. I was very interested in aviation because that's my son and his friend, getting them involved in aviation from a very young age. So I started at high school. A friend of mine's dad had gliders, and from there it just progressed. I did my first air show in 1984.
Wow.
And from there, it was a case of just getting involved and making it happen. So the reason that I came in through the back door, I realized in South Africa that there was a need in those years for good public address equipment and good broadcasting. And as you saw in one of those photographs, yes, I was a presenter at the SABC working on radio, and I then combined my presenter skills with a love for aviation and decided to, just enhance the overall image of aviation, being, as you quite rightly explained, the man in the middle. The pilots or the participants of an air show, they fly and do their thing in the sky, and I am the voice in the middle that is talking to sometimes hundreds of thousands of people, depending, of course, on the type of event.
Brian, any job has got its ups and downs. What are some of the realities or difficulties that you face sometimes when it comes to being full-time in aviation?
Morning, Jennifer. Well, yeah, the good side is, as you saw, I got a lovely trip in the Roy Falk, and it's not everybody that has that opportunity, flying there with Colonel Charlie Marais. But I would think on the negative side, we build a very close bond, a relationship with the various participants. And of course, aviation air shows can be dangerous. We're aware of what just happened in America. We've also in South Africa had our fair share, although I must be honest and admit that our safety record over the last 2 years has been impeccable, and let's hope it stays like that. But yeah, when we do have an accident, then I basically have to really get involved in top gear, because from commentating where you're expressing the excitement and you taking all those people and putting them through whatever the sequence, to suddenly having to change your voice, change your whole approach, and explain to people that there's been a horrific accident and they need to stay calm, sit down, and just sort of abide with what is happening at the moment. That is pretty strenuous, believe me.
Just like Hoendervleis, thinking of Glendale a couple of years ago. Terrible memories. But now you need to educate for the future. Everyone in South Africa has a focus on developing the next generation, on developing the next generation of aviators, of, like you say, of engineers, even commentators like yourself, to pick up the baton, to take it over once the time is ready. What do we do in South Africa to help young people get into aviation?
Well, there's a lot being done. There's that's a lovely photo, because that is the ground liaison officer for the Silver Falcons, and that is exactly there. Now you've chosen a photograph showing how people progress. This is a young Air Force pilot, very good pilot, a major, and he flies the Pilatus PC-7 Mark II. He is now currently the ground liaison. In other words, he is the link between the safety cell and his 5 aircraft in the air. But whilst he's doing that role, he's actually being educated, trained. He sees exactly what has to happen, so that when he becomes a Silver Falcon, he is fully aware and he has done the ground school, so to say. Remember, he is a pilot, so he can fly. He's just got to hone his skill. And this is very much a case of skills development. When it comes to commentary, I'm afraid it's just like your job. You guys are top presenters on television. It's not just a walk in the park. You've got to have a lot of, as I say, a lot of the P's. You've got to have the professionalism, the pride, the passion. You've got to be able to perform. It is really a very select niche market. To sometimes stand at an air show and talk for close on 7 to 8 hours, where you are the sole presenter, the pressure's on you. And that's Stellenbosch working there. Where you've got that microphone is basically the instrument you use, and that's your work. And then you have, I'm very blessed to have a guy like Leon Duplessis, who compiles my information. Interesting photo that you have there. That's working at the Royal International Air Tattoo, and behind me is the Stealth 117 of the United States Air Force. And that air show, that particular air show, is the biggest military air show in the world.
If we think of military air shows, South Africa, in previous years, it was much bigger than it is now. Are we still delivering proper, interesting air shows?
Your questions are outstanding. Yes, we are. One has to realize that we are faced with all sorts of challenges. The fuel that's going up, the fuel price, and really serious rules and regulations. Every time there's an accident, at least another 5 serious rules are brought into play. If we think back of Ramstein, when the Frecce Tricolori collided mid-air, how it changed the world of aviation. So we do not have as many, of the greats. We lost quite a few serious pilots, like you mentioned, the name of Glenn Warden. Oh, there are so many.
Yes.
And these are people that are legends, were legends. Their names will live on, but they're not there to fly those incredible sequences and sorties that they did. So there is a void, and that void has to be filled. But we're very lucky that we do have people like Jason Beamish, who is a young lad, and he's doing very well. He's moving up the ladder, but it's an expensive tasking. It's not just anybody that can jump in a plane and go and fly.
Yes, there are, shall we say, financial hurdles to jump over if this is your love. But it is possible. It's not an unattainable goal, eh?
No, it is possible. It is. And if you have proper sponsorship, AAD, Africa Aerospace and Defence, which we've just had in South Africa, was really very good, although we did not see the intense foreign participation like we had in SAF 75.
Yes.
But one must bear in mind that South Africa in those days, that era, was looking at purchasing new aircraft. So it was an ideal platform to showcase what the world has to offer and what South Africa should consider buying. And that's why we had like Mirage. They were out from the French. Gripen, which we bought. We bought the Hawk. So that, we just had a great variation in those days that we don't see anymore.
Brian, it is always wonderful listening to your voice over the PA system at all the air shows. Best of luck. We hope we hear much more of you in the future. And thank you for joining us all the way from Switzerland.
Well, thank you. Behind me, it's still very dark and bitterly cold. But I must say, thank you. What an honor to be on your program. And thank you to all your technical team that have worked with us in putting this all together.
Thank you very much, Brian. Dis aan Brian Emmenis, wat 'n legende. Wat 'n lekker om gesels hier met hom vanmôre oor Lugvaartdag, internasionale lugvaartdag en waar sy liefde vir lugvaart vandaan kom.